All right, so let's talk a bit about how we make all this happen. How do you apply all of this? And I'll encourage you to ask questions during this, because otherwise I'm just going to keep talking. Three parts here: exhibit development, selecting and hiring an exhibition team, and budgets.
Very important.
Yes.
Money.
I actually like budgets.
Into the money.
I never studied budgets in school. I never studied finance. But the thing I like about budgets is I look at them as vehicles for getting things done.
Yeah.
And then they're friendly all of a sudden. All right, so in a big sense, this is how we do it. This is how it can be done either with a team such as our team or within your institution. We have a startup meeting. Talk about what is this project about, why are we here, what is everybody's roles, what's everyone going to do, what's the schedule, what's the budget. That's all accomplished up there. And the first major step we take is to develop what we call the interpretive plan. And the interpretive plan is the written concept, the foundational work of the exhibit. What's the exhibit going to say? How is it going to say it? How is it going to engage the visitors? That's all done in writing. Before we do anything else, we haven't designed it. We haven't maybe even been in the building yet, because it's often not built. So this is a very important step. It's done in our joint practice. It's done in cooperation with the museum, with the institution. We do focused sessions with not only staff and the academic resources of the institution, but also with the neighborhood, with neighboring cultural institutions, with school groups that might be some of your core visitors. And we bring all of those different constituencies together so that together we understand what it is we're trying to do. We create the plan, we review it together, and then decide, yes, this is the plan we want to accomplish. That goes down into design, and at the same time, content, coordinating that content. Design's probably fairly straightforward as a concept. There's a lot of details to it we don't need to go into today, but that's where that sits. Then we build it, we install it, we open it. On Sunday. Very simple, right? But while we're doing that process, what we have to do is think about, we want to have a varied experience. As Maria said, we don't want to have museum fatigue. So if all you have are graphic panels, about the time you get to the 5th or 6th graphic panels, you're done with graphic panels. But the same is true of video interactives or computers. You know, if it's all computers, by the time you get to the 6th one, you're kind of tired of it. So we really work on making it a varied experience. We create a rhythm within the experience. And that addresses this easy to understand the subject, which is kind of an interesting thing, because what's easy for me to understand might be different than what's easy for you to understand. That goes back to Maria's learning styles, and it goes back to how it's presented. Different people are going to be able to access it different ways. So again, in our practice, we actually chart this out. During that interpretive plan process they talked about, we look at, all right, how many of these are didactic? How many of these are hands-on? And so on. So we make sure we have a mix and we have a rhythm, a pace going through that. These also happen to be, we'll deal with budget again and again and again, right? So they happen to be an increased cost from left to right. We'll see this again later on. And this wonderful idea of the archaeological reconstruction from the past. So we're using these things to provide, as I said, rhythm, a range of experience. And I think we talked about all that, so let's go to the next one. So that chart you looked at before that went from top to bottom, this is the same chart left to right, a little bit more detail pulled out of it. This happens to be the way that this museum was created. In terms of the schedule. Start up in April of 2007, our first visit to this lovely island. It goes through until opening July of 2009, a little over 2 years. That's not unusual. When people ask, we usually say 18 to 24 months is a good, it obviously depends on how big the project is. It's a good rule of thumb. And if you do get this by email, afterwards you left us your email, you'll be able to see the detail that's in here, when these different things can happen and how they happen together. But I think that the point is that they are in a specific order. They happen within a context. It's an interesting process because it's a creative process. So you have to allow for that circling back, for gathering of opinions, for brainstorming, but you have to do it in a bit of a structure or you drive everybody crazy. There's no guarantee that you won't drive everybody crazy, but it helps. All right, so one big question, how do we get all this work done? If you're looking at a project and you have a staff of 7, we have here?
9 here.
Staff of 9, or 3, or 1, or whatever your staff might be. If you're engaged in a larger project, you might think, okay, all of that is nice, but how do I get that done? Okay, well, one way is to hire an exhibition team. There are a couple of reasons you might do that. One I alluded to with the staff. You might have limited staff resources compared to the project to come. It might be a once-in-a-lifetime project for the institution, or just large in the context of what we usually do. Well, then you might want to look outside. You also look outside for expertise, for a broader worldview. I think you've probably got the sense from what you've seen that this team has a literally worldwide view of what's current in exhibits. And that's very important because your exhibitors are coming, your visitors are coming, in many cases from other parts of the world. So they've been exposed to these things in other places. And you want them to see something in your institution that's up to date, that's new. Finally, and this is one you might not think of, but it's knowledge building. It's something that we were actually charged with in the project here in Aruba, which is to build the knowledge of the staff. We actually, in fact, did seminars on specific topics of collections and...
Collections. We also did a seminar on education and developing public programming in linking to exhibitions and how you can do some public programming in that space. We also did an interpretive planning and evaluation seminar as well with the staff, and several people from the island were invited to attend. So it wasn't just the museum staff that attended, it was open to anyone who wanted to attend.
Right, so the idea is that you don't just bring the expertise in for the one-time project and it goes away. You bring it in and help disseminate it in your community. You can hold on to something.